So this is me, I'm Rachel, you should all know that by now. And I am the self-titled queen of social media content. So self-titled because my brain works in a slightly different way to most people. I think that's okay. It's okay for people's brains to work differently. I'm fairly sure that everyone in this group has differently working brains. But the way that my brain works is that when people tell me their story, I'm thinking, that would make a really good social media post. That would make a really good social media post. Oh my God, you could tell this across a series of posts on social media. So you can see that my life does revolve a little bit around social media. And I know there are lots of people that go, oh, when you mention social media to them, and they're the people I really love to convert. I feel a little bit like an evangelist, that I'm going to convert these people into at least liking social media, even if they don't love it. So I've got a couple of stats for you. So in 2022, the number of social media users increased by 4.2%. So why am I telling you that? It's because it's not going away anytime soon. I'm sorry, guys, it's here. If you don't like it, you might need to find another way to work, but it's here and it's still growing. And there are over 4.7 billion people across the world that are using social media. So that's a massive amount of people that you could be selling to. You've got over 75% of the world's population aged 13 plus uses social media. And they will be different types of social media. So, you know, lots of the kids are on Snapchat, and the kids, I'm such an old lady. But Snapchat, TikTok, all of those things all constitute social media. But I like buts. How do we do it? So that's where I come in. That's where I teach people how to do it. Because nobody likes to be sold to. So don't sell to them. Instead, you be social. And this is the bit that lots of people really struggle with, because they come from a corporate background where they're used to telling people what they do and asking them to buy it. But on social, it's a little bit different. It is social. But it is about more than just sharing photos of your lunch. Although if you're a nutritionist or a personal trainer, then photos of your lunch would work really well. So 80% of your social media posts should be non-promotional. And I know people that 100% of their posts are non-promotional. They never ever promote their business. So very rarely will people buy from them because they're not given the opportunity to buy. So there is a balance to reach, and we will teach you how to reach it. So things that you can talk about being non-promotional, you can tell your story. And stories work really well because they help us to get to know people. And we all know that people do business with people. We know, like, and trust those people, and we feel able to refer them to our friends and our family, even if we've never used their services before. So I get recommended almost daily on social media by people that have never used my services. But because they know me, they know my approach to business, they know that I'm kind of gently nurturing, they feel happy to recommend me. So that's what you want from your social media, is telling your story in a way that gets your personality across, your ethos across, but ultimately bringing in some business for you as well. So one way you can do this is by sharing top tips. So David, the website wizard, would have millions of tips. Tony, similarly, all of your IT stuff, I know that you share it in our WhatsApp group. You could share that on your socials as well. And it just gives you that kind of kudos. Oh, this guy's quite nice, he's quite helpful. When my computer breaks, I'm going to go and ask Tony how to fix it. So frequently asked questions as well. This is on almost every single website, and I'm sure David will say this as well. The copy that you've put on your website, can then be used for social media posts. So those things that people ask you all the time, how much is it? How long is it going to take? What do I need to do? All of those things can make social media posts. And this is my shiny bling. We are aiming for engagement. It doesn't have to be an engagement ring. But that's what all social media thrives on, is engagement. So it's really important to give your audience a chance to engage. So you can do that by asking them questions. So a photographer friend of mine has recently asked if people have been photographing signs of spring. It's not promoting her business, it's loosely related to photography, but everybody's been out taking photos of daffodils and blossom and all of the rest of it. So they're able to share that on her social media. It's a really good engagement tool. You can ask for opinions as well. So one of the best ones is, how do you like your toast? Or how do you like your cup of tea? Because everybody has an opinion on that really pale toast that has not ever seen a toaster, and the really hard burnt stuff, that everybody's got an opinion on how they like their toast. But just make sure that it's related to your business. So for example, it's unlikely that I would share anything about toast on my social media, because I'm not a cafe, I'm not a restaurant, my business has nothing to do with food. But I could do it if I wanted a really quick win of engagement. And here what I wanted to do today was to give a non-promotional post idea to every single person on the call. And I didn't know who was going to be on the call. I didn't want to lose any visitors. I didn't want to miss the visitors out. So I've just selected a couple of general ideas, and I hope you'll forgive me. So if your business is involved in words, a couple of you that are involved in words, then you might have a word of the week. Now, I know Susie Dent does her word of the day, but you could change that around and have it as a word of the week. And it could be a really well-used word that people don't know the history behind, or it could be like a really obscure word that just puts you at the sort of the pinnacle of people who know stuff about words. So if you are involved with mindset and the way that people think, and you might talk about types of brain and where creative thoughts come from. You talk about things more generally without ever saying, book my sessions, I can make you think differently. But you're letting people know that you know what you're talking about. So if you're in law, you might want to share really obscure law cases. And I know there are some very obscure things that have happened in law courts. So you just might want to share those as a little bit of humour maybe, or even maybe a make sure you're not doing this kind of thing. And if you're involved in merchandise, I don't know if there's anybody on the call that's involved in merchandise, you might want to talk about which brands you really like and why you like them. I don't know whether you like Starbucks, Joe, but you just might want to talk about brands that you like. And like I say, top tips go down really well, whatever industry you're in. So you know more about your industry than anybody else watching your social media probably. So just help them, tell them how they can plan their website, what images they should have on their website. Tell them how to prepare for an expo if they're doing a presentation, or if they've got a stand to set up, how they can set that up. Just help them along. Those things are the things that get shared, and that's where you grow your audience. So we're going to give you a couple of tips. So the first thing to do is to identify your audience. And that is not going to be everybody. The amount of people that say, I work with everybody, that's great. But you're identifying a real key audience. So the ones that you really like to work with, the ones that don't cause you any stress, the ones that pay on time, identify those people and find out what it is about them that you really like. Because they're the people that you really want to talk to. They're the people that you want to engage with. They're the people that you want to work with ultimately. And then you're going to identify your key messages. So what are your key messages? My key messages are that I work with women. So this is a fairly recent addition to my business. Women in business used to scare me, to be honest. terrify me. But the more I've worked with them, the more I realise that they're just like me. They're scared to say, I know what I'm talking about. So now I help them get to that point. So identify what your key messages are, because that's going to be important when you put your social media posts together. Be consistent. So something I get asked all the time is, how often should I post on social media? And I say, how often can you show up? So if you can post twice a week, that's great. But make sure that you're posting twice a week, that people get to know that you're going to post. Particularly if it's a tip or something like that, they'll start checking in to see what your tip is for this week. Or if you're doing a word of the week, what your word is of the week, because it might start a conversation with other people. And make time to engage. I cannot stress this enough. Social media is not a one-way street. We're not just posting stuff out. You need to engage with the people that are taking time to comment on your posts, but also engage with other people on their posts. So get involved with discussions, get involved with conversation, but just make a bit of time to engage. And that is my whistle-stop tour of social media